All
Hello,
right.
everyone. My name is
Hello.
Alexandru Malvignano. I'm here with Aaron Stilwell, who's the founder of APT, Advanced Persistent Threats and Cybersecurity LinkedIn group. Could you please hello, Aaron, and say
Hey,
something?
great to meet you. Thank you so much for joining us today. We
Thank
have
you.
a great guest, and Alex is going to do the intro today. But everyone, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Aaron. And of course, we have a new guest, Andrei Codrut, who's cyber strategist and advisor, founder of Cyber Solution Hub and Free Cyber, as well, speaker and consultant. Could you please tell us a bit about you, also how you develop all those projects, and a bit about your experience and knowledge into the cybersecurity or information security, please?
All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for the invite. Well, I started some years ago, 16 years plus, something like that. I started as an IT technician working for a small company. Then I moved to one of the billion dollars company. I spent 11 years there. I started as an IT support specialist, and then I moved into security operations, and then application security, and then I become a team lead and manager. And then I moved to another company. I joined them as information security officer. Basically, my role was to bridge the gap between business and cyber. The first project is called Free Cyber. It's something very dear for me, and basically it's a platform where everyone can find all they need to become a cybersecurity professional. So the platform was built as a roadmap, as a career roadmap, giving you enough information about what kind of skills do you need to become a cybersecurity professional, and then kind of highlights into like what are the roles, what are the things that you can choose from, GRC, pen testing, and all that. And then you can find free trainings and free certifications, some tools to prepare you for interviews, some AI specialized platforms to help you with your resume and all that. I built that and started that in 2022 as a gift to the community. I felt like it's the best way to give something back in the end. I guess the universe was good with me and kind of allowed me to grow into what I am today. And it was just me giving something back for all the good things that I got. The second project is called Cyber Solution Hub. Is basically a company or a consulting company, because that's what it is in the beginning. A consulting company helping small and medium businesses. At the beginning of the year, I was thinking like, what are the big problems that I can solve, right? I know cybersecurity, and I spent a fair amount of years in the enterprise world, but I always had this idea in mind about tackling the biggest problems that we have today. In the past, I was talking and sharing a lot of research when it comes to the cybersecurity skills gap, the business and cyber disconnect, and all that. Last year, it got me thinking like, I'm going to be in the enterprise for many years, but I will not be able to represent the unrepresented in the end. And when you're thinking about cybersecurity, small and medium businesses are definitely unrepresented. So what I wanted to do is just start something on my own, because in the end it's about your legacy and what you are living in this world. And it's about helping SMBs to build those cybersecurity programs, to build some defenses, to be more aware about risks and threats and everything that is going on. I felt, and I'm still thinking about big companies have big budgets, have big teams, have everything they need in the end to protect themselves. But not so many companies and not so many people are actually doing something to protect small and medium businesses. And if you think about it, probably this is not just in Europe, in US and in APAC as well. Probably 90% of our money comes from SMBs, and this is
True.
really strange, because you have this category of small and medium businesses that are making a lot of money, that are creating a lot of workplaces in the end. You have the other 5-10% of the big Google and Microsoft and all that. And everyone, when you're starting a company, you want the big bucks in the end, right? You want to work
Yeah.
with or for Google or for Microsoft or for Amazon. But few people are thinking about, hey, I want to protect a local company or a national company that is doing something good in the end, right? They are creating workplaces, they are investing in the local communities, they are investing in people, but they are not, they don't have a chance. So when someone wants to breach them, they don't have a chance, because they are small, they don't have the big budget, they don't have the resources, and definitely they don't have the knowledge, right? And they don't know how to protect themselves. And to be
And
honest, even with all the cybersecurity awareness campaigns and everything that you can read on the social media, is not going to tell them like, why do you need to protect your company? No one is telling them that, hey, it's not just about protecting your budget, it's not just protecting your data, it's about protecting your people as well. It's protecting the people that are associated with your employees. It's about protecting your local community, right? Because in the end, if a local hospital gets breached, for example, right? One, you have the hospital that it's unable to take care of the patients, right? But that could be something like um, an idea for the attackers, like, hey, what other institution company is out there, right? And
yeah,
someone else that is somehow associated with that hospital, that is somehow in the supply chain with for that hospital, automatically becomes a target. So
true.
protecting those small and medium businesses becomes, again, it's just a personal or my professional opinion, becomes a thing of national strategy or national interest in the end, right? You need the government and the local institution to get involved in this kind of initiatives. And going back to Cyber Solution Hub, it was just my idea of trying to help SMBs, right? I want to use all my skills, all my knowledge, all that enterprise experience to do something good. Obviously, because this is my business now, I have to support my family as well. So it's kind of related, but the main idea is to do something good, is to do my part in protecting my local community, for example. And there is another thing, putting cybersecurity, putting Romania on the map, right? We have so many
Okay.
talented individuals. We have amazing companies like Bitdefender, like best example, known globally, known for innovation, known for all the good things they are doing, right? I want
Yeah.
to do my part, right, to put Romania, to put cybersecurity on the map. So how I'm trying to help, or how I'm helping customers, is basically a combination of services, right? These are like one-time assignments, one-time efforts that are kind of focused around governance, risk
Yeah.
awareness, and education. These are the three pillars of everything I do around services. Because just to explain my train of thought, if you don't have governance, right? If you don't have clear rules, if you don't have a framework, if you don't have policies, if you don't have standards, if you're not, you cannot build a program in the end. And this works in your house, in your company, in your country. You need rules, right? You need
True.
clear responsibilities and accountability, right? If you, and I will give you one example. In case something happens, who is the first person to call, right? It kind of drills down to that. Who is the first person that you need to call? Does your team does your team understand, like, what is the process? Do we have a process in the first place? Like, what do we do now? We know that we are being breached. What should we do, right? And governance, well, incident response planning, but it's kind of that helps you understand, like, again, the rules, the processes, it establishes responsibility, is establishing accountability, and it's just laying out the foundation for what you need to have in place to start building your cybersecurity program, right? Before this meeting, I was thinking, like, how can I best explain what does it mean for a business person,
Yeah.
a cybersecurity program. And the first thing that came to my mind is like putting a normal person in a F1 car and expecting that person to drive that car, to achieve performance, to finish first, or achieve pole position, or something like that, right? Because in the end, for someone that is running a business, or someone that is not part of the cybersecurity world, I will not say bubble, we will get into that, but let's say cybersecurity world, it's it's a strange world in the end. You get into that F1 car, you don't know how to start it, right? There are so
True.
many buttons, and mostly like compliance regulation. It's like a F1 wheel, so many buttons. How do I get this car started, right? When you figure that out, you start the F1 car, you go for a while, and then you realize, hey, I need to get these tires into, like, optimal functioning state, right? So you really need to push to accelerate in order to get to that optimal tire, whatever it's called, right? So you don't drift away or something like that. You
Yeah.
hit the wall. And one of the things that got, like, really dear to me over time, and as I evolved from engineer to team lead, manager, and information security officer, is understanding the root cause, not of all evil, but the root cause of problems, right? In application security, because I spent like many years in application security, is the thing so-called shift left. Like, we are shifting left, we are pushing security testing as left as possible. And implementing a secure SDLC in Emerson, it got me thinking, like, you can shift left, you will get to a certain point where the shift left kind of stops. Why? Because it's about security testing. You do that to a certain level, but you're not fixing the problem in the end, right? You
Yeah.
have to go. So with shift left, you kind of can go to design ish, right? But if you really wanted to solve the root cause, you have to go even more to the left, and even more to the left, you get things that are out of the cybersecurity world. In a mature company, you would probably have a project management office, something, PMO, right? You
Yeah.
have a well-established GRC team. You
Yeah.
have the board. You have security council. You have things like that, right? So if, for example, you want to solve the biggest problems, you have to go over there. You have to leave the cybersecurity world. You have to kind of go the extra mile, how it's called, or everyone calls it, and you have to work with people that might probably have an interest in cybersecurity, probably not, but
Hmm.
if you really want to talk about business and cyber and solving the disconnect, you have, again, my professional opinion, you have to go outside cybersecurity. You have to work, because we mentioned about awareness. You have to start working with HR. You have to start working with legal. You have to start working with finance, for example. Now, HR can help you with those standards, those mandatory trainings. One of the things that I kind of wrote about 2 weeks ago, the onboarding process. Like, the onboarding process is like super important for companies, and I haven't seen too many companies doing it right. Right.
Okay.
Now, with finance can get you a lot of information, not just about buying, selling, and all that, but the finance team can give you information about how much does it worth. And in business, it's all about money. If you
Yeah.
understand that everything that you are doing is not necessarily related to improving the security posture, that is important. Again, it's not about how many critical vulnerabilities you fixed, that is important. It's not about reducing the attack surface, that is important. But it's about money at the end of the day. If you can put that equal sign to everything that you are doing as a cybersecurity professional, again, it doesn't matter vulnerabilities, risks, processes, and all that. If you can put an equal money something that really matters to the business, then you are getting started with fixing that disconnect. But what I think the most important um, strategy, the most important thing that you can do, and again, this is just for cybersecurity professionals, and again, disclaimer, because that is rolling, just my professional opinion, what worked for me is to start listening. As a cybersecurity professional, if you're really interested into doing more, into fixing the business and cyber disconnect, you have to start listening. Not just listening, active listening, right? You have to care. I've seen people talking about, we are a business enabler and we are helping the business and we have this amazing strategy and everything cyber, and you you ask them a question like, you don't use business in your strategy. You don't use the word business. So you have to be intentional about, do you really want to do this? Right? That's the intentional part. Do you really want to fix it? Do you really want to help the business? Do you really want to understand the business, first of all? To understand the business, because you are a cybersecurity professional, you have to learn. And you
Yeah.
start learning by listening. And when you listen, and again, this is just my experience. When you go to the business leaders, when you go to the business people, again, it could be HR, financial, legal, some people outside cybersecurity, and you ask a simple question like, what is your biggest problem?
I have some questions for you in regards with security awareness. We know that every security awareness program is based on goals and objectives.
Okay.
Uh, could you please tell us which are the primary objectives for this?
Well, if you ask everyone, even ChatGPT is going to
Mhm.
say the main objective is to achieve 90% of people doing the security awareness training or cybersecurity awareness training. Like I actually check that with ChatGPT just to like whatever comes first. That is good. If you manage to do that, 90% of the people to do some mandatory training that you think it's important, that is good for compliance.
Okay.
Compliance, again, if you just want to be compliant, thumbs up, it's perfect. If that's the goal, to be compliant, it's perfect. Now, if you want to build a security culture or build the security mindset, because it's more about the mindset than the culture, right?
Okay.
Culture, it's the big thing. Then the pillars, my professional opinion, it's mindset, attitudes, and behaviors, right? If you really want to build your first line of defense, if you really want your employees to help you protect your company, these are the three pillars that you need to start considering, at least: mindset, attitudes, and behavior. You can do as many as many mandatory trainings as you like, right? We do that. The what I've seen in the wild, I would call it in the wild, is 1 hour training once a year for
Yeah.
compliance. Again, if you do that, you have to think about, people are not invested into like paying attention. They will do that because it's mandatory and because probably HR will come after them for the
True, I
money,
agree with you. I was a CISO, so I know how it is.
right? And probably, in best case scenario, people will remember something from that training for maybe a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But what you're going to do with the other 11 months, right? In those 11 months, those companies are pretty much vulnerable. So when you start doing that mindset, attitudes, and behavior thing, you have to think about like, how can I understand the mindset that my people have towards cybersecurity, right? I'm going to say something that I really believe in. Investing in people, your employees, could be the difference between cybersecurity being a cost center and a business enabler. Why? And you have to think about, we are going to implement MFA, SSO, firewalls, whatever, right? If people are not willing to accept that, to embrace that, right,
Yeah.
openly, uh, all your investments, all your time, everything that you have done to build a layer of defense is pretty much useless. Eventually, people will embrace MFA, SSO, and all that, but they are not going to do it because um, they understand the true value of having those implemented.
Yeah, Andrea, I was going to ask that, because you think about someone in payroll, why should they care? I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, my wife works in the federal government, and she's extremely busy. And they have cybersecurity training, and she does it just to kind of get it out of the way. But I love your idea of you have to make it a constant reminder with these
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
right? And it's not just you're right doing this one training and you're walking away and you're like, okay, I did my training, we're done. I'll see you in the next 11 months. And then they're clicking on phishing emails nonstop, right?
Yeah.
So I love that idea what you're talking about, it constantly being in their face and how making them almost a part of it, right? A part of the cybersecurity strategy, almost making everyone a part of that. So they
Yeah.
know they're making a difference and they're educated on the risks of what happens to the organization, which in the end could be their job. If it's hit enough and there has problems, there could be layoffs. So their job can be, you know, directly hit by something like this. So, how do you deal with, I guess, when we talk about, these small, medium businesses, and this is a great conversation because we've always talked about these large organizations, and they're very different from MSP. You know, um, when you talk about the training you're talking about, what are kind of best practices to get these people trained in positions that really they don't care about cybersecurity?
My approach probably it's a bit different. So what I always want to understand is how people see cybersecurity, like what kind of opinions they have about cybersecurity. So you do a small questionnaire, basic questions about how do you think your company is doing related to cybersecurity? Are you happy? How many efforts have you seen in the past year? Like, do you think the communication level, engagement level is something that, I don't know, makes you happy? Or do you think that you understand whatever the message is? So when you have that, right, how people see cybersecurity in your company, you understand their attitude towards cybersecurity, because it could be something like you will find people that will say, I don't think my company talks enough about cybersecurity. I don't think that in our meetings my manager is talking enough about cybersecurity. I don't think we touch too much about cybersecurity. Those people, and again, that questionnaire could be finding people that could become security advocates. That is like a benefit or a side effect of that questionnaire. But mostly it's about understanding how people, your people, right, see cybersecurity. Do they have a positive attitude? They understand, they read enough in the media, they are hearing enough about the data breaches, and they understand that cybersecurity should be important in their company as well. Or they have a passive attitude. I don't care, I'm just here 9 to 5, I just want to go home, I will do your mandatory training, and the end of the story, right? It's important to first kind of identify who can be, and again, for business, it's promoters and detractors, right?
Yes.
If you're thinking about it, and
Yeah,
even if you, even when you're going to the business and you will say, hey, we need to do this questionnaire, it's about these two things: identifying who is going to promote cybersecurity, is going to have a good opinion about your company and what you are doing in your company related to cybersecurity, and who is going to be those employees that might say something negative on Glassdoor or something like that, right?
And then
That that
they
should
need
be
restrict access.
that should be important as well, right?
You make sure
And
they don't have access to the important information.
and when you have, I will not say those two categories, or you identified positive and negatives, or
do
promoters.
you think, Andre? Do you think it is okay or it is good to have role based training? Like, for
Absolutely,
example,
that's what I was getting into. When you have an idea about the attitudes and behavior, part of that questionnaire is asking a few questions that are basically general awareness or general risk questions, right?
mhm,
Like how many times do you patch your personal computer, right? Stupid
yeah,
question, but
yeah,
it kind of gives you an understanding of people that are doing this by default or doing this just when they don't have another option, right? When you ask those questions, you start getting an idea about like we need to invest more into phishing. We need to invest more into general knowledge. We need to invest more in something related to data, right? Data
yeah.
should. And the next step, well, after you present to the business your findings and you build some kind of strategy plan, whatever, is building the content. And the content is going to be role based, right? Finance people and IT people will have different needs. And this is like one of the biggest challenges. I will not say problems, I will say
You
just
mentioned about content, and do you think that the content needs to be, let's say, customized based on the department? Because I have seen this
absolutely.
kind of solutions in some companies.
Absolutely. So it's
Okay.
one thing to go to finance people and present some of the cases that happened, right?
Hmm.
We had a case in Romania about someone paying like a big invoice just by
Okay.
getting a phone call from someone that pretended to be the CEO, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So for finance people, you will go and build your content to be significant or to be something that they can relate to, right?
Hmm.
You build the content using specific words. For example, I mentioned promoters and detractors for the business. For finance, you will start using something that is specific for finance. For IT, obviously, you need to adjust that content to be specific for IT, and it sounds like a lot of work, right? Because you build something, maybe a half an hour presentation about phishing and something else. You don't want to like cover too much ground. And that content around phishing is going to be different for finance. Is going to there are going to be common things for everyone, but then you want to add that, to go the extra mile and add something that is specific for finance, for IT, for HR, and on and on and
So
on.
are you talking about like
Right.
rules-based access and all that?
Yeah. Role-based content in the end. And the next step, and I wrote a white paper that is available on Cyber Solution Hub. The next step is thinking about a strategy to make that training not once a year, but to build the right strategy again based on the business availability, people, and all those different factors. But to think about, can I deliver something on a monthly basis? Can I deliver something on a quarterly basis? Do I want to do like a 5 minutes video on phishing this Friday and something related to data protection 2 weeks from now? But really, really short. I had a really interesting conversation a couple of weeks ago with someone that is doing cyber awareness training that is just text based. So no video, no interactive, no gamification, none of that.
That's not bad. I mean,
Just text based. And basically, whatever you have to read this week as an employee is going to take you like 3 or 4 minutes. And in those 3 or 4 minutes, you get like some questions based on the content. And when you think about if you're doing this, I will not say on a weekly basis because no one is going to approve that. But when you're doing this as often as possible, as this week we are going to talk about phishing, 2 weeks from now about data protection, 2 months from now about another topic, right? You will get people to stay there, just to be aware that this is happening, this is something important. And again, when you want to make something important as a board member, CEO, or whatever, you talk about it,
Yeah.
right? Someone from an executive board member, CEO, CIO, talking about something, it sends a message about this is important for, not for me, for the company. When you get people to talk more and more and more about this kind of things, when you do something special, right? Not just talking about awareness in terms of how you can protect the company, how you can avoid phishing, how to do in case something happens. When you add an extra layer of how you can protect your kids, how you can protect your family, things that you can take outside that 9 to 5, for example, things that you can apply when you are at home, when you go to, I don't know, Starbucks or something like that, what you should do in those scenarios. When you add that extra layer of something that is important for me as an employee after I leave the company, right? I want to learn more. I want to do my best, not to protect the company, but I understand that some information that I learned while being at company, I can take it and apply it outside work. And when you start doing that, right, people will be more into learning more, finding more, will embrace more of these initiatives because they have a personal interest. They are invested to help you. They are invested to learn more. They are invested to um, ask for more. And this is like one thing I noticed, like working for many years, right? You go to the business, the first thing that they will say is, I don't care about it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to scan my web application. I don't want to implement this security control, and on and on and on. But when you start listening, right, you solve whatever the big problem they have, they will start listening as well. So as a cybersecurity professional, you have to make that first step. You have to get to that extra mile, right?
How often do you think? I mean, based on your experience, how often do you think it is good to have this type of program, security awareness? Let's say, I don't
When
know.
you start a program,
It's okay to have 1 month, 3 months, or twice per year. Let's say, for
so
example, you
when
are doing the phishing campaign. In that case,
Yeah,
and a
yeah,
phishing.
that question is, could it be quarterly? But what is I guess, the best way to remind people to keep them active, to
so
keep cybersecurity active in their minds?
when you're building a cyber awareness program, you did the initial questionnaire, you build the content, you build the strategy. It's something that you have to think about, how can I do it as often as possible, right? You don't
Yeah.
want to do those phishing campaigns every week.
Okay.
I,
You might
I
stress a
don't
lot of
want,
people.
I
Or,
don't,
or
I
you might
don't
not like
want
the
to,
results.
I don't want to see that. And again, we are going back to the old problem in cybersecurity, the crying wolf problem.
Uh-huh.
It's a critical and another critical and another critical, and you have to
Indeed.
fix this and this and this, right? You want to focus on what is like the most important, right? And as you are building the program, you are building the foundations, you build the modules. I will call them modules, right? It's the content, then it's the phishing testing.
There are some core things over there in terms of security awareness. Do you have to? There are some phases, or there are some specific topics that should be discussed when you develop that kind of program.
I think phishing, obviously it's a big one because people are still clicking those links. So you have to tackle phishing,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to talk about things like updates, about data protection. You have to touch a little bit on compliance, regulation, especially if your company is regulated. For example, if you have to be compliant with some specific law, for example, you have to talk about it, right? Because cybersecurity might be invested into getting compliant with something. You will get the IT team next to you to do the implementation and all that. But then you need the people as well. So you need to touch a little bit on the subject of the compliance with something. Talk about what it is, why it's important, why the company is pursuing that, and what you can do as an employee to help.
Yeah.
Right? You have to kind of touch base on all those things. Again, phishing, you can do that quarterly, you can do that monthly. I don't advise on monthly, but when you do it, right, it has to be one. The first one, you want to understand like where you are, right? You
Mm-hmm.
need a baseline. You do it. You don't do any training. You don't do any awareness campaigns. You don't do anything. You do that phishing test to understand exactly where you are, and that phishing test could be a good baseline into how can I build the most meaningful content for my company.
And based on this, what are the metrics that should be tracked to determine the success of the program?
Um, I don't know. Tough question, I guess. I think you don't have to look just after the basics of how many people click the link.
Mm-hmm.
I you should look into things like
Of course, I think
what.
it's based on what type of let's say phishing campaign do you have? Maybe if you, for example,
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
have a
I wanted to.
gamification.
Yeah, I wanted to share something. There is an interesting statistic
Mm-hmm.
out there saying that 50% of the people are more prone to click on a link when they are tired, for example,
True.
compared to
Okay.
people,
Yeah, I have
right?
seen it.
So I think that after doing that phishing test, it's challenging. It's going to be complicated how to build a questionnaire to understand the state of mind of your employees. Like, are you tired, stressed, something like that, right? Do you think you can ask things about the workload, right? Someone that has a lot of work, too many tasks, or it's behind with a project.
Or
You
it can be
you
a
send
recurring task, for example. I have seen those
exactly
people.
e-
Yeah.
exactly. You send one of these phishing tests, right? They are not going to care about. They want to see like what it's all about. I'm going to click to see like what do you really want and all that, so they will miss all those indicators about the email, about the language, about the urgency and all that, right? Because they are going to be focused on the work, they are behind, maybe they are tired, maybe some other reason. So I think with awareness, for example, it's all the phishing tests, the content and all that. It's good,
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm working on right now is developing some mechanisms to understand the state of mind of the employees. Again, with the initial questionnaire, with getting feedback after the phishing test from the employees, because it's important to understand how people feel and think about it and understand their state of mind related to certain things, right? Again, there is nothing wrong with the usual, the general training, the general phishing campaigns, the general awareness campaigns. I don't agree with October Cyber Awareness Month. I think it should be every month, but that's another thing.
Some
Um,
other people are saying about biannually, I have heard, or quarterly. Some other companies. I don't know if it's best biannually, if it's best for for the banks, for example, because I was working in the banking sector, and of course I have asked other banks from other countries. They were saying very clear, we would like to have biannually, and I don't know if it's correct or not.
Again, it's about what are you trying to achieve, like how aggressively you want to get to from point A to point B, right?
Hmm.
Quarterly, yeah. Biannually, yeah. Yearly, yeah. In the end, right? When you're building these programs, you need the business approval for your program, for budget, for
True.
research,
Yeah.
and all that, right? And as a I don't consider myself as a cybersecurity expert or whatever other names I could give to myself. I consider myself as an advisor. That's what I think about myself. I'm a I'm a person that has this skill set called cybersecurity, and my job is to offer enough information to business people to make informed decisions. That's what
Yeah.
I think about myself and what I'm doing. I will let the business decide in the end what is good or bad for them based on that information. I can make recommendations, I can make plans, strategy, tactical plans, all that. I can do that. But in the end, it's going to be the business who is going to approve or to decide certain things of that strategy roadmap, tactical plan. So yeah, for me, quarterly, yeah. But again, quarterly just because in that quarter I managed to push enough awareness training to people, and that quarterly phishing test is going to assess how much information people actually understood, right? Because it is not about getting straight A's in all the tests. It's about understanding the information that has been given to you,
Do you
right?
think that should be focused only for fishing campaign or the fishing, for example? I mean, should be a different type of
I'm saying phishing
techniques.
as a general term, but
Hmm.
obviously it's phishing, smishing, all the
Yeah,
easy
yeah.
possible, right? Because i- it's not just about emails, it's about phone calls, it's about like all these tactics that attackers are using. And yeah, I'm sorry that I didn't mention this. I was
Hmm.
just focused on phishing as a general term, but yeah,
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 this is why I asked because people wants to understand if it's only specific fishing. Maybe it's not only fishing, could be fishing or smishing.
exactly. But again, when I one of the things that I'm pushing with Cyber Solution Hub is that what we do is simple, scalable, and sustainable. Simple because we are trying our best to demystify cybersecurity, to offer like an understanding of what is going on, governance, risk, resilience, and all that. But the focus is on scalable. Scalable, why? Because small and medium businesses don't have, again, the big budget. So you want to focus first on what is critical for the business, right? You want to protect the critical assets, critical websites, critical data, and so on. With the cyber awareness program, again, you start small, focusing on whatever is more likely to happen. Phishing is going to be one of the things that is more likely to happen. So that's why me sharing information was so focused on phishing, because this is more likely to happen within pretty much all the companies, right? It could be two, three, five other things, but again, that's what you establish after a risk assessment. It's not.
I have a question. Maybe it's more related not to this, but it's related to the part of the training content. How do we stay updated with the latest trends and developments in cybersecurity to ensure our training content remains relevant? Because we have to update in the end
Fantastic,
everything that we create, right?
fantastic question. Um, I will get into that, but
I'm sorry. As I said,
what
I've been there as a CISO, and I know what I have done over there. I know how much work I have to put, and it was very tough because we worked on the, let's say, yeah, um, not semestral, but it was biannually, and it was tough. I think that the bank where I was working, it has more than 1,000 people in Romania at that time, of course. But it was very tough for me because I have to adapt everything based on the department, based on the role specific. For example, for the developers, there was around 1,000, no, 100 and something people. So you have to adapt because even over there, you don't have people dedicated to, let's say, to MySQL development, or to, let's say, to other things in terms of API, or to other things related to PHP, .NET, and so on. So you have to create a dedicated code. It wasn't easy because now we have AI. In the past, it wasn't any AI. You have to think all those kind of things. But of course, I had to ask every, let's say, team leader or chief of department in order to understand what they are doing over there, with what kind of skills and technologies they are working in order to create those type of phishing campaign. So it wasn't an easy thing.
my answer, or potential answer, at least it's an honest answer. I think before we think and talk about how do you stay up to date with everything that
Yeah,
is going on, right?
yeah,
So before we start talking about deep fakes, AI, LLMs, and all the other cool things happening these days, I think it's more important to understand the basics, right? It's all about the basics, having those foundations, having an understanding of why it matters in the first place. And then, yeah, you can create content or adjust content, or do whatever you want to do about
hmm,
deepfakes. Obviously, it's a big topic. It's an important topic, and you definitely should do something about it in terms of awareness, in terms of all the AIs and how we might get tricked in the end.
yeah.
As always, yeah, you have to touch that. But I
Actually, that
guess,
that does, Andre, go into a question, because I know we're at
please,
24, but that goes into a question. I'm going to post this. Tell me if everyone can see this, because this is actually a new feature. So that popped up.
Yeah, yeah.
tell you
Get,
how AI
get,
has effect on cybersecurity career. Okay. Um, I will have like multiple answers. So for someone that is starting today, right, AI could be something really interesting.
could help us in what we are doing in terms of.
Exactly. So my take on AI, just to be clear, is going to be humans using their brains to do creative things, being helped by AI to automate, to do repetitive tasks, to do threat intelligence, to do most things around SOC.
Yeah.
SOC and AI, it makes a really good family over there. Now, for people that started some years ago when AI was not a big thing, right? And we had to like learn and do and implement and all that. Getting to today, for example, you might be thinking that AI is going to take away my job. And you see all these layoffs in all these companies with the big reason we have implemented AI. So
We have
10,000.
seen a lot of concerns. In fact, we had other live webinars with other people who mentioned about this, and might be a problem for some of us, but I don't think so. I
Yeah,
mean, I think will be
No,
something helpful.
I think
no,
almost
no.
it's funny how, Alex, you could even, mention this too, but almost every single event we've had has gone into the AI talk. And
Yeah,
people are so either worried or excited about it, but there's a lot of talk about it. And I'd love to get your thoughts on especially the SMB and the companies you're working with. Kind of what are your thoughts on that?
So my what I how to put it, what I think about AI is basically what I think about technology in general, right? You don't buy technology or you don't implement something in your company, at least my professional opinion. You don't buy a technology, you don't buy technology, or you don't buy a solution thinking about I can fire 20 people because now I bought this silver bullet that is going to protect me from everything. The vendor is promising me that I will have 100% coverage and all that. So I don't need these 20 people. I think that is wrong. If you have a team that is going to build the processes first, right? Do the training, implement the solution. I was always saying that that is going to allow us as cybersecurity professionals to have more time that we can put into creative thinking, right? You buy that technology or you buy that solution, but are you doing the most with that technology and solution, right? You buy it, you implement it, and then you kind of maintain it, but
yeah,
do you really understand the solution well enough to make the most of it? And I will give you one example. Back in the day, when I started as application security engineer, my primary role back then was to take care of the dynamic application security testing service, the test piece of the program, right? So I started doing that, but by doing that, I started interacting with business people, with program managers, with project managers. And somehow over time, we built processes, right,
yeah,
that benefit the business in the end. But then we started building this knowledge base about their processes, our processes, processes from other teams, and that knowledge base could be used by other teams, right, to do like maybe integrations. Maybe we got to a point where our database of responsible for web applications, for example. We got that as something really useful for people in finance, right? They had to do billing and do like certain things, they needed points of contact for whoever had an Azure subscription or whoever had some kind of subscription, right? And everyone knew that you go to that team because they have that huge database of people responsible for different things. They have built processes. They have built some questionnaires that kind of cover like a lot of ground, right? So that's why I was saying, are you making the most with your solution and with your technology in the end, right? Because it can open so many doors for so many people and so many teams. That's why I'm saying you have to make the most of it, right? If you really want to talk about return on investment and things like that, this is how you prove that whatever investment you made in technology or solution is not just helping you solve a problem, for example. It's helping other departments and it's helping other people as well, solving their problems or getting a piece of information or building processes, right? And again, going back, you have a piece of technology or you have a solution. You invest a lot of time into automation. That should be the next step. Automate as much as possible, because automation is going to give you time back that you can invest either into learning, taking care of other problems or solving other problems, or doing your research into another solution, for example, or best case scenario, build in-house services or tools. That's what I was doing in the past. Get some technology, make the most of it, save some time, and then build something in-house that is over time is going to mean cost saving for the company, right? You build something in-house, you don't have to go outside to a vendor that is going to offer you something that probably you don't use like half of the features. You just need to solve a problem. You buy the whole package because you don't have other choice. So you can build something in-house that you can solve your problem, that you can manage it, you can upgrade it, you can. What I was doing in the past was also going to the business and actually ask for developers. Hey, I need to build this platform. I need to build this piece of automation. I need this API that is going to solve a really big challenge in the end. And you build these in-house services or tools solving problems. That is going to be a success story in every meeting, right? Someone from cybersecurity working with a project manager, working with a developer, working with the IT team, working with some other team, joining forces, building something in-house, right? That is, as a result, means cost saving for the company. It's going to be a good example of collaboration. It's going to be a huge success story. And again, it could be a piece of you solving that business and cyber disconnect, right? Collaboration, sharing knowledge, going the extra mile and all that. Is that answering
Yeah,
the
that's
question?
great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
So we're at 304 right now. Alex, is there any other questions that you wanted to ask before? We don't obviously have a set time limit. It's kind of up to you guys. So, but I want to respect your time
I think we cover most
and
of the
others.
most of the things
Okay.
from my point of view. I mean, we put on most of the questions. Maybe it was one or two questions that should be added, but I think it's enough for the people to understand how a security awareness program works, how to be done, and how and what should be do over there in case if you want to implement it. I mean, it's very important for the people
I
that we
have I
might
have
please.
I have another. I have another thing that I want to add to this discussion. I think it's important both for cyber professionals that joined this event or are going to watch it later, both for business people. One of the most successful programs that I've seen in my 16 plus years working for companies are the programs that are basically sharing information. So I will give you an example. If you build a joint program, right? You're thinking business and cyber. If you're building a joint program that is going to be basically two things. One is cybersecurity for executives or cybersecurity training for managers. The
Yeah.
other part is going to be business acumen for cybersecurity professionals, right? When you think about one of these programs, when you do the work, you get all the support that you need inside the company, and you are doing this cross training basically in your company, right? Again, it's going to be another piece of solving the business and cyber disconnect. And why I'm saying this is because back in the day when I was an engineer, right, understanding what the business does like was a huge mystery for me. Like, what are they doing? How they are making money? The business model, the strategy. Like, how can I get the business goals in the end, right? Because I need to work with something. And one of these, a program like this, right? Business people coming to cybersecurity and explaining like what the business is, how we are making money, and what is important, and then another another session of understanding what is cyber risk, compliance, security controls, frameworks, and all that, just to like bring people together in the same room to share knowledge and just to talk about what is important and finding a common ground. I think it's going to help us build a more secure future in the end. It's useless at this point to think about business and cyber are two different groups. In the end, the business wants to make money, grow the company, get more clients, and so on. And most of the cybersecurity professionals that I know, they want to help the business, they want to protect the business, they want to protect the revenue, and so on. What is missing at this point is just a communication channel. Just getting people together and talk about, hey, how can we get better, how can we do better in the end. I just wanted
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
share that
And what I
because
definitely want to say is we have a link. I'm not even sure this works. I'm going to try this. I guess it does not work now. You were linked to the Cyber Solutions Hub. If you click on the link or take a picture up there, it will take you directly to your website. But if you don't mind telling people where they could get information if they want to contact and reach out to you, that'd be great.
so I guess there are two mediums. One, the cyber solution hub, there is a contact section, there is a chat section. Obviously, for whoever wants to schedule some time, there is a booking section as well. The other medium, I would say, is just contact me directly. If you want to talk with me, work with me, share with me, just send me a message on LinkedIn. I'm happy to talk with you, share with you, work with you, and all that.
Okay. I just put the link right there so people can see it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm just checking. I think we're no more. But does anybody else have any comments they want to put in or questions? I could post it up, but If not, I want to thank everyone for their time. Gentlemen, thank you so much. This was fantastic. I'll post a note out with the recording for everyone. So LinkedIn keeps this up for a long time, so everyone will be able to access it afterwards. But again, thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you for the
Thank
invite.
you.